Hi, in this video I'm going to cover some of the basic sums that you can do using Excel that you'll find really handy when working with income trackers and trying to allocate your income. So we're working in Excel on a Mac using Microsoft 365 on the desktop. So some of the buttons and layout may look slightly different if you're working on the web or on a PC, but the functions that we're talking about in this particular spreadsheet will work for you. So to start with, what I've got is I've put together a couple of sets of data here. So we've got a numerical count and we've got some numbers that I've just pulled together. What we're going to do is we're going to work through adding, subtracting, multiplying and dividing, different combinations of these numbers, just so that you can see how you can work with them in your own spreadsheets. So to start with, this is the sort of stuff where you start with formulas. So if you're already working with them, then you can skip this video and look at something else that we've got. Otherwise, I think this is a really good starting point so that when you're building ways of tracking and allocating your income, that you can use formulas instead of having to manually calculate things and then input them, or try and do them in a different system and then transpose them and run the risk of errors that can come up. So we're trying to reduce the amount of double handling to make it a little bit more efficient for you and make it easy for you to get a handle on things really quickly. So formulas are Excel's term for doing sums in any of its products. Excel, Word, you can do formulas in Word, a few other bits and pieces as well. So there are a couple of things that you can do to start with to set yourself up so that you can view these things and do a bit of checking. So down the very bottom of your screen, when you're looking at your Excel window on the desktop, and I think this works also on the web, down the bottom here, this bar, if you right click, there are a whole host of features that you can actually use here, and they come up along this toolbar. This section here, the one down the bottom at the sort of bottom 2/3, this is the one that we're interested in. And you can see that mine has average, count, numerical count, and sum highlighted or ticked. And that means that when I highlight some data as a group, it's going to give me that information in the bottom bar. As an example, if I highlight this text here, or these cells here, you can see I've got that the average of those cells is 100. There are 5 cells that I have highlighted, so it's the number of selected cells. This is the number of selected cells that contain numerical data, so there are also 5 that have numbers in them, and the sum of that data is 500. So this one here is quite a useful backup or checkpoint for some of the work we're going to do now. So to create our own formulas, I'm going to do them in here so that you can see when we're adding, this is how we do it. So with adding cells, there are 2 ways that you can do it that I find really useful. The first one, so any formula that you pop in, we always start a formula or a sum in Excel with equals. That tells Excel that we're going to do a sum or a mathematical equation now. Now you can also do that by hitting the FX button up here, and when you do that, it's going to open the formula builder on the right hand side. Now, the most recently used, if this is the very first time you use it, it will also show you the most commonly used at the top, and that is sum. So sum is the one that adds up all of the numbers. So when you are doing more than 2 cells being added together, if you're doing multiple cells, that's the one you want. So in this instance, I'm going to show you what happens if we just add 2 cells together. So you can see now, because I've put an equal sign, it's asking me what do I want to use next. So I'm going to use B1, and you can see it's added it up here. And then I'm going to type the plus symbol, and then I'm going to add B2. Now you can see by adding B1 and B2, they've given them different colors and it's color coded them that way, so I know what I'm doing. If I hit enter or tab now, that's done the math for me. Really simple. Means I haven't had to write it down, I haven't had to use my brain, and as my checkpoint I can highlight those 2 cells and that is correct. All right, so that is the first part. That's the first way. If I wanted to add all of these together, I can absolutely do that way as well. So I'm going to delete that and I'm going to start again. Now you can type in here, or you can type up in the menu bar at the top, equals, and then I'm going to do this cell, plus, and I'm just hitting that on my keyboard, and then plus, and then this one, and then plus, and then this one, and then this one. And then I'm hitting enter. And you can see it's added all of those cells up. If I click up here, I can see all of the color coding, and it's changed wherever I have my cursor here along, it moves along the formula here. So all of those, which is all of those, gives me, if I hit enter again, 500, which we know is correct. So that's manually adding it up. If I wanted to be a little bit lazier, I can use the sum function. So equals sum, and then we open brackets. Now you don't have to type that as a capital, you can just type it in lowercase. Now you can see it started to tell me what process I need to follow. So to do a sum, we now need to include the numbers. So I can do it by going this one, comma, this one, comma, this one, comma, this one, comma, this one, and then we close the brackets and enter, and you can see again I've got 500. Slightly different formula, and you can see in the formula builder now it's actually showing me, here it is. This is what I've done. Number 1 is 50 and it's in cell B1. Number 2 is 100 in B2, so on and so forth. 500, done. Okay? Now, there is a third way to add my cells, and that is another sum, and I open my brackets, and because in this instance we are literally doing all of them, I can drag, and you can see it's highlighted that whole group. And what it's done here is it said we're doing B1 through to B5. So it's saying we want everything from B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, but I've literally moved my mouse once, close, brackets, and we're also at 500. Here you can see over in the formula builder, my number 1 is 50, 100, 100, 50, 200. So these are the numbers. There is no number 2. We're done, and that works as well. So there are a few different ways that you can add cells. To multiply cells, I'm going to use the bottom 2 lines here. So we're going to do 5 times 200, which we know is 1000. So again, it's a sum, so it's an equals, and we're literally going to select that cell. And to multiply, we use the star. So you can use the star over on your number keypad, or you can use the star above number 8 across the top row. Both will work fine. And then I select my second cell. And then enter, and we're done. Okay, you can also do equals sum, open it up, that times that, close it, and it will give you the same thing. But if it's just 2 numbers, it doesn't matter. You can just pop that in nice and neat. So you'll see if we do this one, but if I do this one, the formula builder will open and it shows that the number is 1000 made up of A5 by B5. To subtract cells. So this is really handy if you are creating an invoice in Excel and you want to show that a client has paid a deposit perhaps. So in this instance, we're going to use these 2 cells, and I'm going to say that the total job is that, and the client has paid that deposit. So in this instance, we're saying equals 200 or B5 minus 50, which is B4, and tab or enter, 150. Correct. All right, and you'll see here that these aren't showing up because we're not using any of these formula functions. We're just doing it as straight math equations. The last one that we're going to do is to divide cells. Now, this is really handy for you if you are trying to break down and show, let's say you had a client pay a $100 invoice, and of that $100, we know that we want to put, I'm using general terms here, this is not any particular advice, we want to put 10% across into superannuation, so that's 1/10. So we want to divide that total by 10 so that we know that it's the correct amount to put aside. So in this instance, we're going to do an equals. It's this amount divided by, and we know it's 10. So in that instance, that's nice and easy. Just to prove that that also works, because, so we'll do the 200 divided by 10 gives us 20. And if we do the 50 divided by 10, it gives us 5. So the math is there. Again, that's showing you, we've manually typed that in, so it's not got a color. Anything where we've selected a particular cell, that's the way that's worked. All right. And you can continue to add to your cells. You can have as complicated or as simple an equation as you like. So these really useful basic formulas you can use when you are creating invoices and trying to show multiple products that someone's purchased from you, or services, or time on different days. You can use it to show a total due on an invoice. You can use it to show a deposit paid and the balance outstanding, and then you can use it in your back end to help you calculate what parts of an invoice you want to put aside for superannuation, your tax, your operating expenses, and your own salary, or GST if you're registered for GST. So I hope that this has been helpful. It's just been a quick introduction to working with formulas and how you can play with them. Have a play in Excel. If you've got any questions about working with formulas, working with Excel, or being able to create invoices and documents that you can send to your clients using these tools, get in touch. You will find Thrive on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn, all under Thrive Admin Services. You can send us an email at info@thriveadmin.com, or you can join our free Facebook group, Microsoft Dynamos, where you can ask loads of questions about this sort of stuff. There's loads of people there who are always willing to share their experiences. I'm hanging out there quite a lot as well. There's free resources, tips and tricks, and you get first access to all of our products and services there as well. So you'll find that group, Microsoft Dynamos, on Facebook, and you can join at any time. Otherwise, leave a comment below on share and like this video, and subscribe to the channel to get updated when we add new features.